guys, it's Peyton and today I'm going to be doing a book haul. I haven't done a book haul in literally forever because I honestly cannot stand doing book hauls. They're so annoying to film because there's always so many books and I try to give good descriptions and it's just a flop in general, okay? But I decided I'm going to start doing some book hauls separated by genre so I can, not overwhelm myself, and I have a good stack. We're hauling thrillers because I'm randomly obsessed with thrillers. It is been what I've been doing. I literally have purchased so many used copies of a bunch of thrillers that I've heard of, and I'm trying to get my hands on anything that I can find because it's what I'm in the mood for right now. I hope I'm not missing one. I will be so mad, literally so mad, if I realize later that there was more books to show. But we're just gonna go ahead and get into it because it's too much. We need to get here. We need to know what's going on with these books. So the first one I'm hauling is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I found this one at my used bookstore for $12.50, which is pretty good because the original price is $28. And I've been doing my research on BookTube, just watching people's thriller videos, and this seems to be people's favorite one by this author. A lot of people seem to be iffy on this author. They love her books, or they hate them, or they like some of them and they hate other ones. So I'm kind of intrigued about this one. This concept sounds crazy because some lady named Rowan sees an ad to be like a nanny for a bunch of kids, obviously. I guess it's like a richer family. She interviews for them. They seem nice. It's a lot of money and, she needs the job, as most of us do. But she gets this job and this house is like really high tech. There's like cameras everywhere and weird shit. Like it reminds me of like that freaking Smart House movie. I haven't seen that in forever, but the description is just talking about how this house is high tech and it seems like she's being watched. Like every move she's doing is being watched. The girls that she is nannying, babysitting, I do not know the term, end up being not as nice as she originally thought they were.
And someone dies.
And she is being blamed for the murder, and I believe she is in prison. And we see her writing to her lawyer from prison about this incident. So I'm assuming that she starts off this book in prison and then she's like kind of talking about the whole story of what freaking happened in this house. It sounds insane. Sounds really unfortunate. Like I kind of feel bad for this lady. And it says she's not perfect, but like, does she deserve that? Like, I don't know. I guess I just need to freaking read it because a lot of thrillers seem to have some pretty bad characters, like some mean people, but they're interesting to read about. So the next book is an adult hardcover that I found for $1.50. Holy shit. So could I resist buying this book? No, I really couldn't. And it's a classic thriller. I feel like everybody knows this book. I'm not really sure on if everybody loves it or not, but it was $1.50 and I thought I would give it a try. It's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. And this is just one of those classic thrillers. There's a movie and I feel like everyone's read it. I think that's why the book was so cheap. It's because it's something so popular to the point where no one's really buying it anymore, which thank goodness for me because then I got the freaking hardcover for so cheap. And just watching a bunch of book recommendations, I saw people recommending this, saying it's a good opener to thrillers, and I know this story has some crazy twist in it, obviously, because most thrillers do, but I know it like shook the whole universe, this whole world, and I have not been spoiled for it. I have not seen the movie. I have not heard anything about what this book is all about. Nick's clever and beautiful wife disappears from their rented McMansion on the Mississippi River, and it seems like we get some passages from the woman's diary to reveal that maybe she was not as nice as we thought she was. Who freaking knows? You've probably already read it, like I'm probably the one bitch who has not read this book yet, so do I need to really explain this? I don't know. It seems like
She disappears. She's missing. Nick looks weird. Maybe he looks like he did something. Like, I don't know.
that just seems like a typical plot, but I'm assuming there's a lot more to it, especially because it's a thicker book. The next book I got is a YA book. The other two were adult books. I don't think I clarified that, but this one is People Like Us by Dana Mel. And honestly, I think it's a YA book. It just looks like one, like the words are really big. It just gives me the YA vibe. And this one's a boarding school novel. I've seen this cover around for ages. I found it for super cheap on Depop. So I was like, why not? There's decent reviews. So seems like some girl as usual, dies, and they leave a scavenger hunt behind for the main characters to unravel. I think the main character looks a little bit suspicious and trying to clear their name a bit. Another typical sounding plot, but it sounds like a fun ride, and I'm actually reading a boarding school thriller right now on my Kindle. I got an arc of The Ivies by Alexa Dunn, so these books are like kind of similar in premise, and I'm going to compare the two mentally and see if there's like any differences there.
We love some dead girl dying and everybody having to figure out what happened, you know?
So here's the book that started off my huge like obsession of thrillers right now. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Now I've made 2 videos about this book and I'm just not going to explain to you it further. You just need to watch my 2 videos. I made a whole spoiler-free book review of me explaining this book, and then I did a reading vlog for the second one. I got the UK edition because it's not out in America yet. It is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, and the vlog for this deserves more love. Both non-spoilery videos, and I really go in depth about the craziness about this book series because there's going to be a 3rd one. You just need to watch it because literally this has sparked so much joy in my life, and you need that joy too. And if you don't want to read it, you can just watch me read it. Nothing more fun in your life could ever exist. I'm just saying. But once again, this book, Dead Girl, figuring out what really happened. Wow, there's a theme here. The next book I got is another YA one, I believe, and it's I'll Never Tell by Abigail House or Hass. Don't know. It was originally titled Dangerous Girls. I was watching a book recommendation video. I think it was from Elias's channel. They recommended this freaking book, but when I looked it up, all I could find was this. They repackaged it, made a new cover. I kind of like it. It's kind of like ugly, but also kind of cool at the same time. So this one seems to be a weird situation, like all of these books. It's spring break and this girl named Anna goes on vacation. It says Aruba, and then the unthinkable happens. Anna's best friend is found brutally murdered. Oh my gosh, it's probably another dead girl. Are we surprised? I do not think so. So the local police are investigating the crime and they are having heavy suspicion over our main character, Anna. Oh my gosh, is every book having the same plot here? It seems like it. I don't mind it. Everybody thinks she's dangerous and they're determined to prove her guilt. Anna is forced to try to prove her innocence and the clock is running out and it's insane. I just heard it's a really good thriller that not a lot of people know about and I've never heard of it, but I'm so here for it. Once again, found it for pretty cheap on Depop. I think every single one of these books was used other than maybe 3 of them. So this is one of them. The next one that I got is one that I had a lot of recommendations for. I've definitely heard of this book before, but I didn't know if it was like highly rated or anything. It seems to be like an averagely rated book, but I found it for pretty cheap once again from Depop, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it's Little Monsters by Kara Thomas. I was recommended this author in general, and you know, I've just heard a lot of things about this book. Dude, let's see if it's about a dead girl. Okay. Casey, our main character, is the new girl in town, and she has been bonding with people with her new life in this new neighborhood. She's been welcomed pretty easily by a circle of friends, and these girls named Bailey and Jade invite her to do everything with them, and one night they don't invite her, which seems like just a normal thing that happens, but let's see, I'm sure it gets dark. So they start acting distant from Casey, and they don't invite her to the biggest party of the year.
And I'm sure she's heartbroken because how dare they not invite her to a party? Oh my god.
So it seems like Bailey never makes it home from the party, and then shit gets real and this new town doesn't seem so welcoming after all. I think more people start to disappear. So oh my gosh, it's dead girls / disappearing girls. Are we surprised?
Literally every book I have told you is some dead bitch, okay?
The next one I got is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And I saw so many people saying this is one of their favorite books of 2020. When I found it at my used bookstore, I was super excited to see it. And this one has an interesting premise where there is a wedding on this like private island, this tiny little island. I think people start getting murdered on the island. Everyone can't leave because, you know, they're in an island and the ocean surrounds them. There's no escape whatsoever. So they just know that there is a murderer going through. And I've actually started this book. Like, I've read like the first chapter or 2. to, and I'm definitely interested, but I have to read some other books before I can finish this one up. But it's super short read, and I heard so many good things. We're here for this concept of a crazy murderer on an island, because that's just terrifying. Like, you can't escape. It's not like you can just get in a car and drive across the country and get away from this situation. Everyone's stuck there, and your friend could end up being the murderer. You never freaking know. So the next one I got was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I've heard a lot about this one on BookTube, so when I saw it for $9, I was super excited. So oh, that was scary. Karen Slaughter is definitely one of those thriller writers that I think everybody has probably heard of at least a few times. I believe this one is about two sisters. Let's find out, because I can't remember, but two sisters. So it has been 20 years since those two sisters have spoken, though. And then I think one of their husbands gets murdered. So now it's a man. Oh my gosh. It's not a woman this time. Oh, and there's a vanishing of a teenage girl. Okay, we had to have that trope there too. A teenage girl vanishes, a husband is murdered. Somehow it connects the two sisters back together, and I'm sure they're probably trying to solve what's going on. But honestly, the premise doesn't intrigue me that much, but it seems to be like her most loved book. Like, people say this book is so gruesome and terrifying and just insane. And I feel like you just have to simply read it and dive into it, or you will never know what's going on with this book. Like, some premises are pretty telling. You can kind of get a grasp on it. And this one, it is just the smallest little splinter. It's the smallest little sparkle. Like, you have to jump in and fully invest yourself in the crazy journey that this book is going to bring you on. So there was another Karen Slaughter book though, and I picked that one up too. It's The Good Daughter. I've seen this one around for years. Karen Slaughter writes adult books as well, if you didn't know. This one is more of something that would interest me, but it doesn't seem to be more highly rated than Pretty Girls. So I just decided to get both, because I was like, okay, this premise sounds cooler to me, but the other one seems to be loved more, so might as well get both. I'm terrible. This one has a terrible tragedy 28 years ago. Charlotte and Samantha Quinn's happy small town family life was torn apart by a terrifying attack on their family home. It left their mother dead. It left their father, Pikeville's notorious defense attorney, devastated. So seems like there was a murder in their household, and now it's 28 years later, and I believe she's a lawyer now, and she's coming back because it seems like a similar sort of tragedy is happening again in their town. You know, she feels a personal attachment to this sort of case because she experienced it with her family, and I guess she throws herself into the new situation and the new murders that are happening, which is such a sad freaking premise, and I feel like it's really going to be a gut punch in the soul. The next one I actually have already read, The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I've heard really good things about this one. I ended up giving it like a 3 stars though. I really thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I just think the ending and like the twist and, you know, everything, it didn't fully hit me and make me feel like this is my favorite book of all time. It was a solid book. I read it in 3 sittings, so I read it pretty quickly and I was truly invested in what was going on. In the end, it just wasn't everything I ever dreamed of. So it's about this girl named Anna. She has agoraphobia. She has a past trauma in her life that unfolds throughout this book that we kind of learn more about, and it has caused her feelings of agoraphobia, which is when you have a fear of open spaces. So she's currently stuck in her home. She cannot leave her house. If she does, like, she has a huge panic attack that just makes her pass out pretty much. Like, it's a pretty bad reaction. Then some neighbors move in and she actually watches her neighbors. It's pretty creepy and stalkerish, to be honest. She uses like a camera lens to zoom in into people's windows. People need to close their windows is all I'm saying, because this lady is looking at you. But that's what she does to pass the time, because she lives alone and she can't really leave her house. So she has been paying attention to her neighbors, and when she sees something that she shouldn't have seen, her whole world gets shattered. And it's becoming a movie. I would be very interested to see this movie. The last book that I got was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Now, this is an author I've heard such mixed reviews about. Like, some people just can't stand his books, and other people are like, yes, that is my bitch. I just wanted to give it a try, and I just recently signed up for Book of the Month because I am going to be reading some more adult books, and I feel like that's just the cheapest option for me to be able to do that. So I got this book for like $9, and anywhere else it's like freaking $30. So I'm super excited to dive into this one. It's probably going to be one of my next reads because this one, like, the premise just really excites me. It kind of sounds like a horror novel, but it's just a thriller. That's what I've heard people say. Like, it's not actually horror, but it kind of gives you that vibe looking at the cover and everything. 25 years ago, Maggie and her family lived in this house. It was a Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. So they spent only 20 days in this house before they had to flee in the dead of the night through the woods because something just chaotic and scary just happened. So this is why it kind of sounds like a horror book, because like it sounds like something is up with this house. And her father created a memoir talking about the horrors that happened in this house, and it speaks of like ghosts and spirits and shit. So who knows what's happening in this house, but I'm here for it. Kind of reminds me of Haunting of Hill House. I love that show. She has lived in shadow of her father's book that he wrote forever, and when he dies, she inherits the freaking creepy ass house. And she decides to start renovating it. I don't know why she thought this was a good idea. That sounds like Haunting of Hill House again. So it seems like she doesn't actually believe in the things that her dad wrote about. So that's why she feels comfortable to renovate this house and, you know, actually try to start living there again. And it seems like the things that her dad wrote about start to happen to her. And wow, this does sound like a horror novel. It's really weird, but apparently it's just a thriller. I'm highly intrigued by this concept though, because I really love things like this, like a really weird ass house with just spooky as shit happening. And you know, I'm sure someone's gonna die, so that's great. So those are all the thrillers that I acquired recently. I'm so excited to read them. Like, I cannot tell you the excitement I feel for all of these books. I'm like so ecstatic to have a new genre to be excited about, because I really just mostly read fantasy and contemporary novels. And I have no idea why I haven't dove deep into thrillers before. Like, I'm literally so stupid because I love movies and TV shows that give thriller vibes. But hey, I'm changing my life right now with this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have any recommendations. I also would love if you had any diverse thriller recommendations, because I realize like these are not very diverse. So I definitely need to open my horizons and get all types of thriller books for real. Like this video, comment down below, have a good day, please subscribe. Make sure to follow all my social medias, which are linked down below, and go click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should already clicked, and goodbye.